Welcome to the press conference call for the Manufacturing Business Outlook Survey for the month of March. Today we're going to learn what manufacturers had to say about business activity for the month of March. I'm Danielle Mazzone, Media Relations Representative at the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia, and I'm joined by Senior Economic Analyst Mike Trebbing, who's going to begin the call with a quick overview of this month's survey.
Good morning. Our regional survey's broad diffusion indexes suggest quite modest growth in the manufacturing sector this month, with overall activity and new orders indexes near their February readings. The indexes for shipments and work orders fell notably, yet employment still edged up for the survey panel overall. Firms continued to report moderating price pressures. Both prices paid and prices received indexes were negative this month, and the share of firms reporting price reductions has increased in recent months, although the largest share of firms are still reporting stable prices. Firms' expectations for the next 6 months remain overall optimistic, but the indexes are not at levels of optimism as high as we saw for most of last year. I'll also point out that our supplemental questions this month, which we have used for the last 4 years at this time, we asked firms about their projections for capital spending for 2015 compared to last year. And in addition to the type of capital spending anticipated, we also asked the primary economic reasons for the capital spending growth.
Jeffrey Sparshot from the Wall Street Journal, do you have questions?
Do you think that there's any weather effect that we might be seeing in these numbers? The figures have been low the last couple of months.
We did have a few firms mention the weather, and of course the numbers are seasonally adjusted, and we normally see a beginning of a pickup in March in activity general. So the seasonals anticipate that, and we did in the non-seasonally adjusted numbers see some pick up as expected, but it wasn't enough to really boost the overall numbers. For the most part, the firms that we interviewed early in the month had more comments about the weather than the reporters that we talked to in just the last few days. So the answer to the question is yeah, there was some impact, but it's harder to tell from other than the comments that we received, which we did receive a few.
Okay, and the other big theme lately has been the dollar. Any comments about the dollar affecting ability to export or affecting activity?
Yeah, for the firms we know that have larger export shares, there were comments more about uncertainty of the business going forward, especially those who are in the energy markets. So I can't say that that it's the driving force, but it was mentioned by several, and we know from comments that marginal, the strong dollar is affecting those firms negatively. But I can't say that it's the driving force behind the weaker numbers the last few months.
Okay, and last question, is there anything you can pinpoint as kind of the driving force behind the weaker numbers?
No, I'd say that the overall comments were consistent with the readings. We had some firms saying that growth was continuing and it was picking up, and as it does in the spring. On the other hand, there were firms that indicated that they were noting slowdown. So the overall comments were not inconsistent with the general reading on the diffusion index, I'd say. And as I mentioned in the summary, the outlook continues to be optimistic overall, but we're not seeing the level of the 6-month index as high as we had late last year and most of 2014.
Thanks so much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jeffrey. And the next Manufacturing Business Outlook survey will be released April 10th at 10 a.m.